Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Victor and today we're going to see how to make line charts on Tableau. Line charts are very useful when it comes to visualize a trend over time. They are one of the most basic type of charts you can find and they are really easy to do with Tableau. Step number one will be to have the appropriate data. So like I said, line charts are mostly used to show a trend over time, so that's why you should always have a date dimension when you're using this type of charts. So for the example, I just created a dataset on Excel. So as you can see, we have the total revenue of Apple in billions of dollars for every single quarter from Q1 2010 to Q3 2021. So here you have the revenue in billions of dollars, and here you have the revenue considering only the iPhone sales. So now that we have our data set, we can go into Tableau. So now when you look at your data set, you can see that the date column is considered as a string variable. So to overcome this, you can click on ABC and make it a date. So now you can see your quarters have changed into the date format. And your two other columns are into numbers. So now we're good to go. Step number two will be to create a classic line chart. So to do this, we're going to switch to sheet number one, turn this automatic mark into line in order to have a line chart. And now we're going to pick our date variable, put it into column, and here we have our timeline. Now the problem here is that we don't have the detail of each quarter. We only have 2010, 2011, 2012. So to have every single quarter, we're going to click on this arrow and click here on quarter. So now, as you can see, we have 2010 quarter one, quarter two, and so on. Another way to do this, if I go back with Ctrl Z, could be to click here and make this date part function a date trunk function and change year into quarter. So basically this does the exact same thing. Now you may have noticed that here we have quarter and here we also have quarter. When you look to the right, you can see Q2 here and here Q2 2015. So if I select this one, you can see that we only have 4 quarters. So what this is doing is that it's making the mean of every single quarter. So here you have the value of Q1 2010, Q1 2011, and so on. So here we don't want this. We want to have every single quarter in a linear timeline. So now that we have our timeline, we're going to take the Apple revenue and drop it here. And here we have our simple line chart. Step number 3 will be to customize your line chart. So the first thing you can change is the color. I'll pick this orange. You can also change the opacity of your line. And here you can choose to have some little markers for each single value. Another thing you can change is the size of your chart just by moving this up and down. And what I really like to do is to have a size that is changing according to the value here on the left. So in this case, I want to have a line that is bigger when the Apple revenue is bigger. So to do this, you just have to take the Apple revenue and drop it into size. And now you have a size that is changing according to the value of the revenue of Apple. I believe that this makes the chart much more impactful and much more visual. But you can also choose to leave it a single line. Another thing you can add to your line chart is the label. So when you click here, you can select this Show Mark Label section. And here you will see you have a lot of values that are now displayed on your line chart. So maybe you can think that there are a little bit too much values here. So to change that, you can go to this Marks to Label section and choose, for example, minimum maximum. So here you will have the lowest and the highest value. You can also choose line ends. So now you have the first value and the last one. And if you want to personalize it even more, you can go to Selected, and here you can choose the values you want to keep. So let's say, for example, this value, hold the Control key, this one, and I don't know, this one, are the most important for you. You can right click on one of the value and go here to Mark Label and click on Always Show. So here you have your most important values that are displayed on the line chart. You can also choose to change the tooltip. You can see that when I move my mouse, there's a little box with quarter of date to point the value and Apple revenue to point the value. So if we want to make this a little bit more visual, we can go here to tooltips and make something like this. For example, in the quarter, the revenue of Apple was, here you have your value, and it's in billions of dollars. Let's make this, we can leave it like that. And now you can see when you hover a section of the line, you have something a little bit more visual and a little bit more user-friendly. Oh, and another thing you can change here is the look of your line. You can choose to have it like this or like this. Maybe sometimes it's useful here. We will leave it just like that. Step number 4 will be to add another line on our line chart. So now if we want to add, for example, the iPhone revenue on the same chart, it's not very intuitive. For example, if you double click here on iPhone revenue, it will just create another row with a separate line. So here you have Apple and here you have the iPhone revenue. But we want the two lines on the same chart. So to do this, let me come back real quick. And I'm going to take the measure values, which is all the values we have here, and put it here and replace the Apple revenue. So now you can see we have something a little strange going on here. So to solve this problem, we can look at what our measure values contains. And here we can see that we have the Apple revenue, the iPhone revenue, but we also have the count of the sheet 1, which is counting every single value we have on the sheet. So we don't want this to appear on the chart, so we can remove it here to the left. And here we have two lines on the same chart. The first one is the total revenue of Apple, and the second one is the revenue considering only the iPhone. So now when we look at the size of these two lines, we can see that it's not matching. Here, the size should be the same, but it's not. And that's because of our size section here, which is depending on the Apple revenue and not on the measure values here. So to change this, you can hold the Control key, click on measure values and replace Apple revenue. Now you can see the size is matching and it's looking much better. Now we can also see that the colors here are matching. To change the color here and have one single color per value, you can take here the measure names and drop it into colors in order to have one color for the Apple revenue and one color for the iPhone revenue. Oh, and I just figured out we lost our labels. So in order to bring them back, let's say we want just the beginning and the end value for each line. Click on Label, Line Ends, and Show Mark Labels. So now another really interesting thing you can do with Tableau is to go over here to Analytics, click on Trend Line, and here you have trend lines for the Apple revenue and for the iPhone revenue. And that's really easy to do. And it's really interesting when it comes to figuring out a lot of things about your dataset. So for example, here you can see that the trend line of the Apple revenue is growing much faster than the trend line of iPhone revenue. And you know that's maybe because Apple has diversified its offer over the years. So now you have a lot of new things like the AirPods, Apple TV, and so on. But anyway, if you want to personalize these lines, you can click on one, hold the Control key, click on the other, and right-click, format. Here go to trend lines, and here you can play with the style of the line. So I'm gonna make it like this. Now these trend lines are linear trend lines. So if you want to change the trend lines, you can go here. Oops. Here we go, and change this, for example, to exponential or polynomial, and you can change the degree right here. I'll leave it to linear, and here we go. You can change a lot of different things here in the analytics section. You can choose, for example, to plot a median. You can also choose to create a forecast for your values. Let me know in the comments if you want to have more details about all these different things, how the forecast is working and so on. Just let me know. I'll quickly remove the median here and the forecast also. Here we go. And now maybe you have noticed that the tooltip isn't working anymore. Here we have the date, which is great, but we don't have the revenue of Apple anymore. And this is because in our tooltip we had the Apple revenue and not the measure value. So to change this, you can go into tooltip, go here where we had the Apple revenue, and insert measure values. You can make it bold like this and black also. Here we go. Now you have the grade value for each line. And the last thing we will change here is the name here of the borders. So to do this, double click on the border, and we're going to change this from quarter of date to simply quarter. Here you go, and we're going to do the same here. We're going to replace value by revenue. You can also give a title to your chart. Let's say, for example, total Apple revenue versus iPhone revenue. And here you have your final line chart. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope it helped you. And if you're interested in data visualization on Tableau, you can join my channel. I post a lot of different contents about the topic. If you want to, you can also check out my Instagram account. The link will be in the description. And I'll see you in the next video.